Alright, well, we can get started a few minutes early if that's okay with you. Did you hear anything from Jules?
He said that timing might not work out, but he'll see if he can jump on
Hey, that's all good.
a little later.
That's all good. I think we can just add him to the call and everything should work fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do this.
Alright.
So thanks anybody who's watching or will be watching this in the future. My name is John, aka Strategism, and I am delighted to have with me on this call Kynan Pearson, one of the devs of this game. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Ah! Just kidding. Get out of here. Forgot about that message. 3, 2, 1, go! And thank you very much, by the way, for allowing us to skip cutscenes. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we all enjoy having internally, even during development, just because when you're playing the same levels over and over and over hundreds of thousands of times,
Yeah.
it's always good to be able to skip cutscenes.
And skipping the tutorial, too. I know that's... A lot of games do that, but some don't.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that.
So I intentionally didn't watch the rest of your any speed playthrough or your speed run last time, just because I want to see certain things fresh.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm down for that. The more surprise, the better, I say.
Yep.
All right. 50 seconds there. That's a non-reset. This will be, of course, a no reset run, no matter how much I screw up. And I have plans if I screw up to do some more interesting hearts that I think might appeal especially to you, the levels you designed. So all will not be lost if I screw up a lot.
Oh, it's all good. I actually like seeing everything, and
yeah,
I don't have any particular interest in seeing more of my level than less, so all
okay.
good. Whatever you would normally do.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
So Jules actually built this first level that you're playing through.
Okay.
Back in this section that you're getting into. Let's see. This might be Peter Ong's part from the design standpoint. I know that you don't know the devs or anything.
That's okay. Well, I'm familiar with plenty of the names because that's how I found yours, just looking on the credits. So, I have to say, though, the water physics in this game are pretty crazy. I like it.
Yeah. So
oh my goodness.
It's one of those things where, like, a lot of this game was, we were really big fans of Mario 64.
I can tell. I can tell.
Yeah, this was like, so this was before Sunshine was announced that we started working on this, and so Mario 64 vanished for a really long time. And there was nothing like it on the, or even it seemed planned for the, at the time, next-gen consoles. And so this was just kind of like a love letter to, you know, Mario 64, trying to make something that felt like it had mechanics that, again, deviated, that were our own thing and that everyone came up with, but just starting with that as a foundation, almost like if we could continue from where they started and do our own thing, what would happen with that?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's awesome. That was one of the things I planned to ask you, what were the inspirations for this game, and I didn't want to be presumptuous by saying Mario 64, but...
Oh, no. At this point, so much time has passed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's all good. It's funny, but, like, even Devil May Cry had some influence, and there was a comic book at the time from Joe Mad, who's here in Austin, I think, that was called Battle Chasers.
Whoa.
When we were redesigning the character, the reason why Vexx has those big old gauntlets that we call War Talons is because the main character in Battle Chasers, she looked really cool. She ended up having these huge gloves, which gave her a lot of character, and that was just something that we were really inspired by.
That's awesome. By the way, Astrius, your questions are all good. Ask me as much as you like. I certainly can't talk for this whole time. Ah! I really like being able to jump into that heart when I kick the ball into it, but it was not to be in this case.
Yeah.
That soccer heart can be kind of cruel, I must admit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you set up certain mechanics and whatnot, they get tuned to solve one case, but then there might be others, don't feel good.
There was one time, and I can't prove it because I wasn't streaming at the time, but when I did like a slide kick into the soccer ball from its starting spot, and it stopped right in front of the goal. This is totally like a unicorn. I can't prove that I did it, but
I think it's possible because I do think we've had some Hail Marys where it actually worked.
No way.
During dev, but I don't know if like the tuning ever changed to prevent that. I'd have to ask Jules on that one.
Yeah. Kynan, feel free to keep an eye on the Twitch chat too. Astrius is the guy who first ran this game. I learned a lot of this run from him and sort of added the rest to make it my own.
Sweet. So yeah, Astrius. So this game was significantly bigger than what you eventually got. At the very beginning of development, we ended up, like, there was a philosophy of, like, kid in a candy store, if you see a level, you can go there. And so every single one of these worlds, which are now all separated into, like, one world at a time, there were actually 3 simultaneously. And so you'll see familiar themes where some levels may share common elements such as textures or whatnot with each other. And that's because previously, every world was, there were 6 worlds total, and all of them were 3 worlds combined. And we had to cut them down massively. About, I'd say, a year left in development just to be able to finish the game and get everything in. So, lots of stuff got cut. And I actually have some footage somewhere on a disc or whatnot of the worlds when they were all interconnected and when it was like 3 levels simultaneously, which I'll try and dig up after this. And
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What were the themes of some of the levels that were cut?
Let's see. I might have something here that I can reference. So there was one that was a massive Coliseum that was kind of desert themed. There was another that was a big volcano, so you were on the inside of a volcano that was almost like Niagara Falls on all sides.
Wow. But you still snuck in a volcano.
Yeah, we still got the volcano. It was like there were 2 volcanoes. One of them was small, and one of them was, the huge one. And so once we cut the large one, that just left us with the smaller one, which I actually built that level. Yeah, but I can't remember. Now it's been so long since I've played through that I'm forgetting how we ended up situating them in the final release.
Were there any other suits that didn't make the cut? It was very topical.
Yeah, I think there were. I'm trying to think of. Let's see. Actually, now that I mention it, is the water suit in?
Water suit? No.
Okay.
What's the water
so
suit?
we had an underwater suit that was kind of like I don't know, it's weird to describe, but it enhanced swimming.
Okay.
And then when we cut that, we ended up making the swimming. That's why it's a little twitchier, where it's like you're constantly just boosting.
Yeah. Was that what the suit would do?
Originally, the swimming package was a lot slower and more methodical, and once we changed the theme to have the battle or the war talons, and then we started putting in some of the more unusual moves like the downward Hadouken.
Yeah.
Then we started using those abilities more and kind of taking out some of the other stuff that was there.
Yeah, getting first cycle on those platforms is harder than it looks.
Oh yeah.
You gotta be very efficient with movement. I remember when I first tried to do that, it took me a while.
Let's see.
Yeah, you said you worked on the player package. Does that? I know I'm not familiar with all the jargon of the industry. Does that just mean that you designed all his moves? and the animations and all that.
Yeah, so I ended up working really closely with an animator, Alex Lansky. He did all the animations for the moves, but the gameplay designs behind things like the long jump, the downward burst, the climbing package, being able to do the big leaps and cancellations, the flip kick, being your recovery, your double jump recovery. So if you go off a ledge, you can flip kick back onto that, and then the combat system, I ended up doing a lot of the core stuff, and then Peter Ong and I ended up working on, Peter did the downward pound combo, where if you delay, and then you do the third slash that slams into the ground and then the uppercut after it. I think that was one of his additions. I put in the uppercut and the flip kick stuff and the juggling. I'm a big fighting game fan, so I wanted there to be something that was a lot more playful, and whenever I kind of talked about putting juggles into the game, Thomas Coles, who was the lead designer at the time, he was like, go for it, try it, and it turned out to be pretty fun, so we ended up keeping it in and making it a core mechanic for being able to charge up your Fury meter.
Yeah, it's really neat, and that's a very unique aspect of the game, I think.
Yeah, and the sumo battle we ended up using multiple times, and Peter ended up working on that one quite a bit. And I can't remember if Jules ended up doing this first one, and then Peter did I know Peter did the one in Waterworld.
That one is cruel, but I will do it. It's part of the run.
One of the things that I really liked was putting in the portals and everything that you can see through.
Yeah, that's really neat.
It's something that it's like you're seeing it more and more now, but at the time that we had put this together for the first time, it was pretty new in terms of the way that we were using it, and the tech team at Iguana or Climb Studios Austin were really good, and some of those guys have gone on to do some great things as well.
Yeah. We were talking about other stuff during the sumo fight, but I just wanted to say I think it is absolutely hilarious, some of the stuff he does. You guys had a real sense of humor about this game, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we would have gotten more in. It's just, it was a 3-year cycle for the entire game. We had to kind of redesign it about halfway in because the concept that we had previously was near identical to Jack and Daxter, and they ended up showing at E3 first. And so we redesigned the character so that we took out the secondary character. The game was called Clip and Mischief, and it was 2 characters that were together. And so then we changed a bunch of mechanics and made the game feel as different from Jack and Daxter as possible.
Mission accomplished. Actually, I admit I've never played Jack and Daxter, but I've watched runs of it. That's been an GDQ.
Yeah. So this was the the second level that I designed, but it was one of those things where I wanted to be ambitious with a layout and having the entire thing completely revolve around this gigantic skeleton.
Yeah, it's so neat. And I like the pun in the name too. It's very that suits me.
Yeah. So let's see. What you just switching back and forth from the live to the
oh, okay.
Your direct feed just to see what people are seeing at this point. But yeah. So all these portals and everything leading into the worlds. This level was directly next to Dagger Craig.
That makes sense.
And then also the I don't remember which level we put it in, but there's a buried temple that you raise out of the ground.
I do not actually, as you will find out. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's in Neverglades.
Yeah, so we ended up taking that from... There was originally like a giant desert to the next to this that had a big elevator that would take you down underground, and that place in the Neverglades was part of this world.
It's so interesting how it still ended up in the game.
Yeah, we just kind of rearranged everything and found the stuff that was furthest along at the time to keep. And I was lucky enough to have. I don't think that any of my stuff got cut.
Wow.
So it was the luck of the draw, I guess.
Well, means you did a good job.
But yeah, the temple interior as well. That was one of the things that I worked on in the ribcage that you're skipping.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, so it's funny. But then Mario Sunshine came out. We were really close to shipping. Like, I think we were like 3 to 6 months away, and that's whenever in Mario Sunshine they would show kind of they'd show a preview telling you kind of where the shine was that you were going to collect. And
yeah, I love that game, so I know.
Yeah, we were like, there was concerns on the team because of the choices that we were making with where things were situated and how you would get things and whatnot. That it was kind of a last-ditch effort to make the game easier for casual players, which again we had more, I want to say, hardcore mechanics than typically you'd see in Nintendo games.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up doing when you select a Wraith Heart, it ends up putting the new arrow indicators in the level, kind of pointing you in a general direction.
Oh, jeez. Now. Yeah, I really like the riddles for the hearts, even though I obviously don't read them anymore. They're very clever.
Yeah, that was I think Marshall did most of those. He was one of the designers. He did the Giants. I can't remember what we called it.
Tempest Peak Manor.
Yeah, Tempest Peak Manor.
Yeah, that one. That level is a run killer.
Yeah. Just from a theme perspective, though, I think that's, like, retrospectively one of my favorites in the game.
It's very unique.
And while it doesn't, like, everything kind of... It's one of those things where just as a theme and as everything coming together, it's not the most... I don't know. There's some things about that level that are incredibly challenging, but...
yeah. Agreed.
But it's one of those that whenever I look back on the game, I think of it very fondly.
Yeah. That dog scared the crap out of me when I was young. I first played this game when I was 12. That dog, man.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. Ugh.
And then there's the painting of it on the wall.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was close. Upcoming, we have a chance to talk about the triple jump.
Yeah, so this is
The
funny.
triple jump.
We knew after it shipped, like after it was too late to do anything about it, about the go into rage mode and then catch a jump off of the transition.
Yeah.
And we actually talked. You and I talked about that
Yeah.
a few nights ago. But the third one, firing and then jumping, that's something that I guess we didn't discover until the community found it, and that was, I think it was kind of significantly later after release.
Oh yeah,
Or-
I mean, I don't know where Asterisk learned about this. Maybe he can enlighten us. Oh,
Back in the comments.
got it. Ooh. Man, I was... Woo! Oh god, that was close. Oh, I've actually jumped straight off of that before, and it was devastating.
Yeah. So it's funny, but like, whenever we first, like, we had an offsite meeting when we were first doing the game, and originally it was kind of like Acclaim wanted a mascot game, and that's when we had an offsite to kind of go over stuff and talk about what everyone wanted to do. And I remember I had talked about basically saying like the new systems are coming out. We don't know fully what their capabilities are, but instead of going hog wild and making like a huge environment to where it's just a lot of
Dramatic
things
camera,
active. I wanted to do smaller scale levels that were just more dense with interaction, and that was kind of like, oh no, we can do far more than that, which is why we ended up having the 3 worlds together. But I still tried to do that in the levels that I designed in the game, just making sure that, and kind of like you can see with this, you can get through them quickly if you're if you know them, and if there's like shortcuts to get around and basically break the standard flow of the level if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were talking about with like the Citadel of Shadows or...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. I actually did not know the full story of how you discovered that. But I had a hunch it was you. Oh, shit. Get in there. Yeah, so this heart, or at least doing it the fast way, was something that took me a really long time to get right the first time.
Yeah.
It's tricky. The key, though, is so doing the triple jump. Sometimes the mechanics can be a little bit unpredictable unless you release the control stick. Then you guarantee that you do a high jump.
Interesting.
As opposed to doing a long jump, which will always make you fall short of this heart. So, a lot of muscle memory now.
Yeah.
For just taking my finger straight off the control stick whenever I do the third jump. Let's see if I can get it first try. Here we go. Go.
My stream. This one's working.
Got it.
Beautiful.
Got it.
No, this is like we actually, you know, you always hope that there are going to be people that enjoy a game that you make and dig into it and get better at you know, just basically that they play it so much that they're intimately aware of stuff. And so we did a lot of things like, and this has nothing to do with the speed running, but like the entire alphabet makes sense, and we created a completely new font and language translations, hoping that people would eventually figure out what all the messages are and,
oh my god,
and whatnot. But
I have not done that.
Yeah, no.
Maybe I will.
It's not necessarily something that like, I'm just really proud that we made something that I feel plays really well, and that, you know, for who we had and what we were doing at the time. Because again, we released it on 3 different platforms: the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. So it was a pretty big undertaking. But yeah, it did get kind of swallowed at the time, just because bigger games released, and there was a lot of negativity online. Although
geez.
I think you know, there are some people that that did enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I first played this game, I think it was like in a GameStop in a mall, and I just like fell in love with it instantly, and I was like, I have to have this. I was about 12. Then I played it. I don't think I ever finished it 100% until multiple years later, after I stopped being scared of 100 shards and frostbite.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinarily unforgiving.
Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. I think that was the... Does that have the airship going around?
It does, and yeah, the jars in that level are one of my favorite things to do in 100%, because it makes use of the ship in really cool ways.
Yeah, so that's one of Jules' levels, and I wish he was on the stream so I could talk about it.
Oh, I can't wait till he sees what I do with the windmill. I will be fascinated to know whether that was intended or not. I have a sneaking suspicion that it was.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to see whenever we get there. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Screw the flight suit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that this was developed for 3 platforms, but I don't actually own an Xbox or a PS2 for that matter, so I'm a Nintendo fanboy through and through. But what are some of the challenges involved in developing for 3 platforms at the same time?
So back then, the platforms weren't like, they were different. Everything required its own kind of specific effort to just get the game running on those consoles, and they all had different, memory. So like we had to do a lot of things where whenever we had exports, we would just kind of export lower res textures, and some objects we'd have to remove and fix certain problem areas that are specific to one platform, or change the way that something renders. It was a much bigger impact in the past than it is now, because the engines are getting to the point where you can support multiple platforms fairly easily. The tools are more mature, but yeah, like during this generation, the PS2 was a beast. Like it was completely different than the GameCube and the Xbox. So yeah, I personally felt like the Xbox was the best version, and on the Xbox 360, I think they did backwards compatibility, and it might have actually improved perf.
Yeah, they did on the Wii,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm playing on, and that's the reason why I play on the Wii, is because it has faster loading times. I mean, when you consider about 15 seconds of loading time per heart at 60 hearts, suddenly we're at 15 whole minutes of loading time in this game.
Yeah. So the long jumping up surfaces is, it's funny, but like nowadays, whenever I'm working on mechanics, I always try and put certain limitations in, and then certain things to make sure that stuff like that doesn't necessarily happen, because it almost feels like you're doing one consecutive long jump that just lasts forever.
It's a BLJ from Mario 64.
Yep. But I'm glad that I didn't know any better for this game.
Yeah. No, it's certainly not game breaking by any stretch. By the way, these painting jars are really cool. That's a really cool concept, whoever came up with that.
Yeah, I don't know where that one initially came from, but I do know that Manny ended up doing the paintings for all those, and they're super slick. And yeah, it's like it's one. I almost wish that we had it for longer, so we could have taken more advantage of it. It was pretty novel for the game and unique.
All right. On to Tempest Peak Manor. Hello, Doge. There is no adrenaline rush quite like falling on the floor and having to rush to one of those vents when you get that big scary dog chasing after you. My God, it is. Yep. Even to this day, I mercifully I don't fall. I don't put myself at much risk of falling in this run, but get your heart beating.
Man, let me see if I can. I actually pulled out the strategy guide, because it has a section in it that lists the real names we use for enemies.
He has a name?
He has a name, and I can't remember if it's listed in here or not.
Oh shit! I'm dead.
So a little history about some of the names. A friend of mine's name is Mark Vargas, so Vargas is like Vexx's dad.
Grandpa, I think.
Yep. And then Darby is a name from a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't know if you watch any anime or anything like that, but there's a really cool episode from the first OAV, and there's a character that's a gambler, and he kind of collects people's souls.
Okay. And that's Darby, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
And then Dark Yabu
That's fitting.
is Yabu is a character name from the novel Shogun. Kasigi Yabu is his name, and it was something where it was like I had originally come up with that name for a separate mascot concept that like Acclaim internally had this competition to see who could come up with the new mascot game, and so they opened it up to designers, artists, and engineers at the time, and I ended up putting together this concept. And at the time, I had started as a tester, and I was in test for about a month. And this competition came up, and so I'd put together all the materials, did all the concept art, and they ended up dissolving both the mascot team's project and my project, and we came up with our own project together. And Thomas wanted to use the last boss's name from my original concept, and that's kind of like why that's in, and it's totally disconnected and doesn't really... Oh yeah, Rex!
That is his name? Is Rex?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, those kind of disjointed ways are totally how stuff comes together for a world.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is like, everyone has all these crazy ideas and stuff, and some of them end up working out, some of them just, they take too much effort and whatnot, but it's basically the stuff that works and everybody believes in, and whoever's working on the content, feels strongly enough in. Those are the things that stay in the game and rise to the top and get polished. And this was the first level that we ended up showing when we had like a demonstration of the game to journalists to come out to Acclaim Studios Austin for the first time and see the game and play it. And so...
Okay. Jeez. Sloppy here. It's alright. And the mechanics of that little spinning disc thingy are pretty weird. I just try to jump off it as quickly as I humanly can.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Very cool.
You've got the manual handy, Aster. It's very nice. And that reminds me. It's something I was going to save until we got to the below, but I don't think I've ever seen many games before where you actually have to read the manual in order to complete it 100%.
Yeah, so we got that idea from Metal Gear Solid, kind of Psycho Mantis breaking the fourth wall, and so it was just one of those things where anything that you can do that's unique and that's original and kind of unexpected, because in Metal Gear Solid, the original, like you have to get Meryl's codec number from looking at the back of the box.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then you have games today like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, where the manual is the game. You can see what we've come to here.
Let's see, how many hearts are you at now?
24.
24.
That's pretty good. 32 minutes in.
Yep.
That's a pretty good pace. Yeah, in general, when I was writing this game, I try to figure out like what hearts I can include or exclude. Obviously, the threshold for how quick a heart had to be in order to be included continued to drop. Now I think it's down around 220 left. All right, left is about 10 seconds faster.
So the funny thing is like the console that's up there, like
it's like an Xbox N64.
Yeah. We had to do like a fusion of multiple things because we wouldn't have the rights to, since it's a multi-platform game, we didn't want to have to change the console for every single platform we released it on.
Oh, that's
and so like the controller's this weird amalgamation, generic, random thing, but the console itself is an Xbox N64.
That's amazing. Alright, let's see if I get this trick right. If I jump off at the right time. Nope, I didn't get it. If you jump
Yeah,
off at the right
there's,
time, you can.
like many of the shortcuts are intended. We always had this philosophy of build things so that, because again, we built things in measured distances, and the measurements were all based off of the doing a high jump into wall jump into ground pound into flip kick, or doing a long jump into flip kick. And so we knew what those distances were and what the wall jump heights were and stuff to make sure that you could get up to certain areas. And so we would intentionally build sequence breaks, and some of them we would discover them during tests where it was like they weren't fully intended, but we didn't see anything wrong with it because there's so much content in the game. There's so many different parts that we thought it'd be cool to just give people the opportunity when they are speedrunning or
Butt clench.
when they know the game really well to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, these jars are still very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and 81 hearts was because we had to cut content, and so it just ended up, we tried to pick, I can't remember if the 81, is that including the double heart from
No, it's normally 81.
Yeah, I don't remember why we ended up at 81. I think it was intended to be 80. Once we did the content cut, and somehow just...
Oh boy. There we go. I mean, it is 9 squared. It's not just a, it's not a prime number or anything.
Yeah. It's
Are there 10 levels or 9? I think there are 9. So, 9 squared, 81.
9.
It works out. It works out okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're aware of it, but like during the Dark Yabu fight at the end, that there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that Vexx is gonna blow his middle finger up.
What?
Yeah, so Alex put in animation where it's like it's slightly like one of them is like the Matrix animation where it's like Neo saying "Come here," he puts his hand up and does that.
Yeah.
But there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that Vexx will like do the I can't remember if he just like rolls his hand and then the middle finger comes up as if he's like doing the reeling the fishing rod thing.
Yeah.
Or if he ends up blowing into his hand so that the middle finger comes up. But yeah, it's just one of those minor Easter eggs.
That's awesome. I've never seen that. I also almost never watched the cutscene, right? So
yeah, of course.
That's the problem. I have a secret to doing this section. I turn myself upside down.
Oh, you do?
I do. Like I'm sideways on my couch right now, with my head upside down.
Yeah, I think that we did that during Dev at times, like trying to get through it fast. So I find it funny that people do that for real. But yeah, I think that was one of Peter's levels. It's a cool concept, very cool concept, going upside down.
Yeah, I've wondered if I can get into the Sundial world upside down or something. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know what it would do for me, but just like experimenting with stuff. And I'm hoping, actually, after the run, there's a little something I want to show you. I found a way to play the game with 0 lives.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
And actually, as a consequence of that, I managed to get a save file which always starts with 17 lives. I don't know why. I don't know even how I managed to do that, but I'll show you after the run.
Yeah. So, funny story, but the sundial stuff is something that I thought was really cool, just, that we had, where you can do the day-night cycle. Originally, the game was supposed to be significantly different when you were playing between the day and the night, kind of a light and dark world juxtaposition, so the enemies would get more difficult, platforms would show up.
Also, crotch uppercut, thank you.
Yeah, so this was actually, he was a boss before. And the cool thing about him as a boss was he would basically stay away from you, and you would swing at him, and he would kind of back away, and whenever you went for the canister in his hand, he would go up, and he'd pull it up out of reach. but we could never tune it in such a way where it felt, because like we were artificially preventing you, but with all the mechanics of like being able to do all of the multi-jump cancels and everything, we could just never keep it away from you without him looking really stupid. And so just instead of cutting him completely, Peter ended up putting him in this level and just letting you run up and do what you needed to do. When he went up and you pull it up and you hit him in the nuts, and that was part of the boss encounter. So he just ended up some dude in the level.
That's amazing.
But you just run up and do that once too. But I'm glad that he remained in.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun coming up with my own little nicknames for all the hearts. Although crotch uppercut, I have to cut it downstairs.
Alright, let's see. Hold on, I'm gonna start looking at some comments real fast while you're going through here.
Yeah, sure. This is a pretty slow one.
Okay. Oh yeah, so sorry, getting back to that hanging problem, that was just a physics issue. Whenever you have, when you have something that's rotating and, kind of, but it still affects you and your gravity and all that stuff, you can get into a state where you're falling, and it has to level itself out before it can resolve, so you're actually kind of stuck in collision, which puts you into that fall state.
Was that from the previous Sundial world? Yes, the spinning disc thing?
No, the spinning disc thing was when you were in the manor and you're up on the chandelier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think. Maybe I'm
I got you.
remembering that wrong because this comment was from a little while back. And it's funny, but like the camera
is really wonky here. I have to. I don't have to fight it mercifully, but oh Jesus!
This is where I philosophically changed my entire design philosophy to design around the camera. And it's kind of like, don't build a space and then try and get a camera to work in it. You need to figure out what the camera is to begin with, and then figure it out. That's a cool bypass.
Those guys are really annoying.
Yeah.
Ow. Also, this is a really fast way to get up this thing.
Are you grinding along the collision, or are you,
No, I'm actually just jumping.
Yeah, you're doing the long jump, but I didn't know if you were guiding yourself into the wall so you don't fall off.
Give me a break. Please don't kill me.
Oh.
I'm gonna make it. Just barely. Good God. Trying to rebuild rage there, and that's what I get for it. Yeah, so a lot of the routing in a speedrun is honestly based around having rage when I need it. That is pretty much the sole motivation for ordering hearts in the way that I do.
So how long did it, or I guess how much, when did you start kind of trying to...
I think I first picked up the game, boy, it's gotta be almost a year ago. Took me not actually that long to get good enough at it to start getting my time under the 2-hour mark. Because for a while, Astraeus had the record at around 150. But honestly, I think that I have probably beat the game not much more than 100 times. Which is, in stark contrast to a game with a much more mature speedrunning community, like say Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Or somebody like Zos has beat the game 10 million times. And it's so perfectly optimized. It's still something I enjoy about this game, the fact that it is still not optimized, and that I could, be
but there's stuff to discover.
Yeah, that I could discover some stuff, and I really enjoyed that about it. As much as I sometimes enjoy grinding for times, I think the discovery part is way more interesting.
Yeah. And so this is also one of my levels that I mentioned before that was originally supposed to be in the volcano world. But yeah, it was kind of like since I was working on the player package, I would always try and find stuff that we hadn't used effectively in the game, like poles.
Right.
And use them as often.
And they're yellow, just like Mario 64.
Oh yeah, I mean we had a nightmare. Like the artists really didn't want to make the poles yellow. They wanted them to be blended in with the environment to be aesthetically pleasing.
Oh, I agree with your decision. Make them yellow, make them stand out.
Gameplay clarity is key. Let's see. Oh man, my stream is not go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's probably a bit choppy. Sorry to people watching on the stream. I'll upload a VOD of all this later, which will be clean.
Cool. I've actually got some screenshots of these levels in the making when they were just the mock-up designer geo, so I'll throw some of those up on Twitter.
That's awesome.
After this, hopefully if I can find them tonight. If not, then it'll be sometime this week.
Sure.
So yeah, there was plans to do a sequel. I don't remember who ended up with the IP, and I know that. I mean, I don't know how valuable it is to them or how much motivation there is for them to, give it to another team or continue it forward. But yeah, we actually had done a bunch of artwork and stuff for the sequel. We had started work a little bit, but just never. It didn't sell well enough to warrant that, and so.
Oh, give it to me. Come on. Yes! Haha. Jackpot.
Yeah.
That can be a run killer. That one.
Man, hold on. These guys all have names as well.
What they do? The pirates?
Hook, line, and sinker, I think. Or something along those lines. Yeah.
That's great.
So, some of the, the game originally started off for the sequel with, Vexx in a torture sequence in the Dark World. And he ended up getting new powers. And so one of the things that I was pushing for was, and I think I've got some concept art of this as well, was having Vexx be able to summon new forms that would be almost like, and this is kind of a throwback to what we talked about before, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stuff, but he could summon these spiritual stands that would be different creatures that had different abilities that you could use.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where if it had done better and the community had stuck with it more, then we might have gotten a chance to do it, but such is life and such is game dev.
Yeah. This second sumo's a real asshole.
Yeah, so this was one of the bosses that Peter ended up working on, and he did this is all hand scripted, so all the object displacement and everything, and the gravitational field with all the rocks flying around, and him using the mechanic to target the player and go down. That wasn't that was driven through Acclaim's scripting tool at the time, and it wasn't just functionally part of the AI. So Peter did so much work getting this thing working and whatnot. But the thing is, because it's such a complex system, it makes it harder to tune.
Yeah,
the thing is, at this point in the game, it's okay to have things that require a lot of the player.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, yeah, that was a perfect sumo fight. No rocks. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah, Nasty, Brutish, and Short. That was their names.
Nasty, Brutish, and Short. Okay. I like hook, line, and sinker. That works too.
Yeah, so it's funny now that I'm watching you go through it. Oh, there's the whale.
The whale. We'll get to him pretty soon.
Leviathan.
Yeah. we'll get to him in as the last part here. We got ourselves a pretty good little run here.
Yeah. Going well. So it's funny also, I actually really dig the music. Nelson Everhart was the composer on this, and he was a super cool guy. And I remember we would just basically give him tons of reference and whatnot. And it may not, this is going to sound weird, but like I would have him listen to Silent Hill 2 music. And then like some of the Metal Gear stuff, which is why there's kind of a fusion of like traditional instruments and digital. Which I know you probably don't listen to it much with the sound on anymore, but...
What, did... No, I have the sound on when I play, absolutely. There's a lot of, there's a lot of strings in the arrangements. Oh, I almost jumped off there, that would have been horrible. No, I enjoy the music, and I still dig the French horn that plays whenever you get a heart. I swear, if I didn't like it, I'd have been driven crazy by now.
Nelson's a huge fan of horns.
Yeah. I played trombone in middle school, so.
Sweet.
Me too. Which is why I am sad to say that I have to skip the trombone section of the music, that crazy music thing. Yeah, I really want to know what somebody was smoking when they came up with that trippy music land. That place is weird.
Yeah, that was Marshall. You know, it was really like I met so many amazing people working at Iguana, and like the Vexx team, we were all super close, and it was a really inspiring time, and everybody had cool ideas that we were sharing with each other, and like there were no real egos on the team. Everybody was just, I don't know, it was a joy to work on.
Well, it's a joy to play. I'll tell you that.
All that said, it's like for a long time after it had shipped, all I could think of was like coulda, shoulda, woulda, all the things we did wrong, all the things that I wish we could have fixed and gotten in. But now looking back on it, it's really nice to just see and be reminded of this. It's kind of a nostalgia trip to go through it.
Yeah, it's funny. I hear a lot of people who come in and watch when I stream say it's very nostalgic. I totally get that. I mean, for me, it was nostalgic when I picked it up again. But I was, I've been into watching speedruns, and I'm like a bit of a perfectionist by nature, so it kind of suits me to do things like speedrunning. I was looking for a game to do, and I don't know, it's just it just occurred to me. I was just thinking through all the games that I already had. It was like, what's one that I could actually, contribute to?
Yeah. I mean, I actually always enjoyed speedrunning it after we shipped it. Like, I would play it at least, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, and just run through as fast as I could, and my time was never as fast as yours. I was, in some ways, also taking my time even when I was going through as fast as I could, just because of looking at things and going through. But yeah, so this was what I was talking about. It was my scripting error because
oh yeah. Well, thank you very much for doing that, because you cut out a real mean heart from Neverglades by putting that in.
Sweet.
Yeah, maybe you could talk about how that ended up happening.
So yeah, basically we had the interior there where you would have to solve, I guess, do the enemy elimination part after you activate him, and then there was the shatter heart over the top where you would break through the top of the cathedral using the ground pound. And so I needed to make a facade heart that would look like it was the heart that was there that you would have to do the cathedral ground pound for. But then I just actually used a real heart and didn't disconnect it from giving you credit for it, so we had an extra heart in the game.
Yeah, pretty sure the stream just died, by the way. Get it? Yes, sir.
I'm still seeing it, but we'll see.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Okay. It probably just will break the stream into segments, which is a bummer, but that's okay.
Oh, there we go. And now it's back.
Yeah, that one right there, the leaping over, grabbing the heart on instead of killing all the bad guys. That one feels good to get it right.
Yep.
Once again, the key, and off the control stick. For the longest time, I didn't have a setup that would get that one reliably, but I got one now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the what's it called, the time dial stuff before with the day-night cycle.
Yeah.
Which is funny because after Vexx, I ended up going over to Retro Studios to work on the Metroid Prime games, and then when the Prime 2 started taking on the Dark World, Light World theme, it had been something that I'd already just gone through with Vexx, and I knew the nightmare of things we had to cut because we didn't, we weren't able to just finish it, and some of those things were really hard. It required double effort on every single thing that you did. If the enemies needed to get replaced or you needed to have things active. So I think that was one of those things that I cringed about when we were first working on Prime 2, but you know, going through Vexx kind of prepared me for everything that it was going to take.
Yeah.
And those guys, they have like the shell with like the darkness, and then you can only see the eyes. And that was inspiration from Orko from He-Man, but then Final Fantasy IX ended up having
please don't die.
Vivi.
Alright, we're good. Sorry, go on.
No worries.
You can actually you can fall down there after killing that last guy. I hate saving him for last, but sometimes I do.
Yeah, I can't remember if we reset your position after you kill him.
You do, but if I fall down too soon,
Yep.
then all bets are off. Anyway, we're talking about FF9.
Oh yeah, so Vivi from FF9, how he's just got the completely pitch black, you can't see anything but his eyes. And, you know, I mean, it sounds like so weird a little inspiration to have, because, you know, it's just a common enemy that you're fighting all the time, but during dev, it's like when you're concepting something up, or you're pitching ideas with each other, or you're going through stuff, everything matters, and everyone cares about every little thing on all of the stuff in the game. But then it just turns out to be some miscellaneous, non-memorable thing that, you know, no one really cares about much after. But everything's got a story.
Well, I care. Those guys are pretty annoying.
I mean, they were originally made to take advantage, like, so we needed enemies that forced you to use certain mechanics, and so those were the kind of uppercut
I gotcha.
requirement enemies. And I can't remember what these guys were called.
Asterius? Manual Man?
I want to think.
Whew.
Puggles.
Puggles are the cute little guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Let's see. I keep in touch with quite a few people from the team. I mean, everybody's gone on to, like, when Acclaim went under, that kind of spread the team to the winds, but everybody's, well, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people have ended up doing a bunch of interesting things afterwards. I know Thomas was over at Edge of Reality. Let's see, Peter founded Dreamrift. Jules and Greg Hargrove. Greg was the art director on the game. They were founders of Renegade Kid. A lot of the guys went over to BioWare. Ben Bays teaches at UT.
Really?
Steambot. Yeah, I mean, there's
cool.
like so many people went on to do a bunch of really cool stuff. I currently work with Michael Veroni, who was one of the artists on the team as well. Yeah, it's like Jason Bear, he was one of the designers. He started his own studio in Seattle and released an awesome game called Buddy and Me. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just too many to go through everyone, but it is fun to look through LinkedIn from time to time and see the where are they now. And I end up talking, like, I'm friends with most people on Facebook, so I get to see the stuff they're doing and who they're hanging out with.
Yeah. Actually, why don't you tell them about all the other stuff you've worked on? I mean, it's pretty remarkable that you've worked on all the major shooting all the shooting franchises that you have.
Yeah. So after this, I ended up at Retro and I worked on Metroid Prime 2, Prime 3. I was the co-lead level designer on Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Oh, cool.
I worked on Halo 4, Halo 5, and I'm creative director at Bluepoint now, and the last game we put out, we did Gravity Rush, and I didn't do too terribly much on Gravity Rush, just some stuff in regards to the camera, but I worked on Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, which is, I guess, the most recent game that I've done there.
Sorry, I skipped that puzzle too.
No, so that's kind of intentional. There were ways of cheating even without using the triple jump fully.
Yeah.
And that's all. That was,
yeah.
You know, it's not really a puzzle unless there's multiple solutions. Like, if you can just do one thing and it's solved, then it doesn't make it as interesting as if you allow kind of people to think about things and use their own intuition to mess around with stuff in different ways.
Oh, I missed it. There's another heart in that tower involving, you know, you push the buttons and you telescope out the tower. That one just barely has missed the cut for this run.
Yeah.
It's about... It's pretty close to a tie with one of the other ones. I'm just not as used to doing it. But you combine it with this heart.
Man, it'd be cool to and I only think about this because I play a lot of fighting games, but be able to see all of the inputs that you're using.
Oh yeah. I know there's a lot of streamers that do stuff like that. I consider myself a pretty big novice. If I knew how to do that, I totally would. It'd be pretty sick. But truthfully, most of the muscle memory is in pressing, being able to do the high jump or long jump after a hop. You know, pressing L immediately after A.
Yeah.
You get really used to doing the AL, R, AL, B, AL combo. After doing it, probably must be a few thousand times at this point.
Yeah, but I also want to see how often you're hitting the camera.
A lot. More than I probably realized, to be honest. Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's what's really interesting about it, is like, I know that I can see every time you're sitting there just tapping camera as you're like jumping around or doing something.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that we do on the dev team, but you never realize, and that's why I was talking about, like, now, the goal is ultimately that someone should be able to play through it without touching the camera at all. But...
That's a pipe dream, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, you have to build your level to the camera, and it's like, if you look at stuff like what Nintendo's done most recently with New Super Mario 3D World, they're very much they're building levels around camera configurations and not requiring you to touch them as much, and the games feel more like hybrid 2D, 3D fusion instead of just full-on like Mario Galaxy or Mario 64 or Sunshine.
Was there ever any consideration to have some kind of camera mode that locked behind Vexx, like pressing R in Mario 64?
Sorry, I was reading a comment. What was that last?
Was there ever any consideration of having sort of a fixed camera mode behind Vexx, kind of like pressing R in Mario 64?
Oh, yeah, we ended up having... Well, we made the choice to not do that because it became a crutch during development. We had multiple camera modes that you could toggle between, and ultimately it was like as devs, we knew what to use when, and we had to shift away from that to make sure that we were just doing one thing as well as we could instead of having a bunch of things that were less polished.
Yeah, and for anyone who missed it, I just collected that heart for the second time. This trick only works when there is no memory card, I have found.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Which is something that you would only do like in a speedrun kind of setting. Like, oh,
fan service type of things.
That's a run killer.
You know, not all that much. So the question was, how much pressure do game devs get from marketing to put fan servicey type of things in games? It depends. Every studio is different. Whenever you're working with marketing teams, a lot of times you're just going to give them the game that you've got, and they're going to try and figure out how the hell do we market this thing, and who does this appeal to, and then they'll try and worry about demographics or what type of content is in the game that they can use to promote. It's kind of rare that totally influences. I'm not saying it doesn't. Like, there are some studios that probably tie marketing more closely now, especially with things like DLC and making sure that a bunch of things are there to create continued interest in the game. But in the past, and kind of in classic games and stuff prior to the DLC explosion and the kind of season pass mentality, it really wasn't like there was a bunch of pressure to do stuff like that. It would only be if they had an idea for, oh, it'd be cool if we did a cross promo, but that was still rare at these times.
Oh, Jesus. I'm good. That's a nice thing about rage mode. You can save your life too.
Yep.
Except I'm gonna have to kill that guy now. Yep. Not going according to plan. There we go. Yeah, that's another thing that I really get used to is deactivating rage mode immediately as soon as I've done the jump. That's definitely second nature. You gotta conserve as much of that as you can.
Yep.
Alright, time for some nose picking. Oh yeah.
So Sir Reginald, the whatever love interest thing. I mean, it's kind of like Rhea was put into the game, like, or at least I wasn't necessarily a fan of her look, but it was, we were conscious of having female characters in the game, and she's not necessarily a love interest, but even then, it was always one of those things. We wanted this game to be to have, I guess, to just be more widely appealing, and so there were conscious efforts. And again, it seems like now it's rudimentary in thought, but at the time, it's like the internet was only just getting to the point where the global community was kind of able to see everything that people were doing, and people were getting online and whatnot. Like, while we were in the process of making this game, it wasn't really a common thing, and so Rhea was kind of the character in the story that was the, can't remember exactly, I think she was the She was one of your guides, but she was the ruler. Let me see if I can find her history.
Real quick, let me talk about this one.
Oh yeah, go for it.
This one is really interesting heart. I'm very glad that you put that heart so tantalizingly close. I can almost touch it. No, I missed it! Oh man, I'm gonna have to die. That's a killer. But that's... What?
Nice!
No, I'm pretty sure that's gonna soft lock the game.
Oh, darn it.
Oh shit. Oh man, that soft locks the game. Oh, that is a killer. Yeah, there's no way out of this. I've done this once before. Whee!
Yep. Oh,
That's a
that's
killer.
game dev.
Okay.
Bummer.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that should show. There we go. So this time I will use a memory card. And I am just going to pick up right about where I left off. Oh. There we go.
So that giant, we originally had full intentions to make him animated. Like, some of the ideas were that he would come to life and then grab a hold of you and throw you, and you would launch across the map into another part of the level. But as we cut back on kind of the scale and scope of the game when we started removing levels, then it just ended up we decided to use him as like the master of the Hellraiser cube.
Yeah. All right. So this is pretty close to where I was actually. It's very convenient that I happen to have a save file here.
Good.
However, we get to see firsthand what it's like to have a memory card. Oh, it's nighttime. All right. Anyway, I don't think I'll do that one again. I was probably a few pixels away from getting that.
I thought you had it.
It was real. Well, clearly I had enough distance. Because the cube thing brought me straight up into it.
Yep.
Yeah, this nighttime baddies.
How often do you ever mess with the sundials to change the time of day to make sure you don't have to deal with different thrifting? Never?
Never, actually. It just so happens that in the course of doing this run, setting the sundial for the sundial portal hearts, you do it, the last one you do is in Daggercrack. And that sundial portal is open at the very beginning of the day. So you just run through the rest of the game before that day ever expires.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never actually deal with nighttime bad guys in the run.
So how many people are actively involved in the speedrun community for Vexx now?
I want to say two. Might as well call it like 2.5. I don't know if Astrius has done any runs in a while. I know he dusts it off every now and then. He'll have to give my record a run for its money one day.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. What am I doing? Man, that is the one place in this game that I can get soft locked.
I'm sure there's
Go
other.
figure. Well, okay, that's true. One place in the run, I should say.
Oh, I locked up.
What's up?
Oh, nothing. I was my stream. My computer went to sleep. So
Oh no.
it locked me out.
Okay. Oh, I already collected that one. Okay. Yeah, I mean, as popular as the GDQs are right now, I think the odds of getting Vexx in are pretty slim, just because of the fact that it doesn't have a huge following. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I don't like the nighttime bad guys either.
It can be part of the average games done quick.
Yes. That's great. Well, it does have a better shot at getting into SGDQ than HGDQ, which is true. Even though SGDQ raised more money than HGDQ did last year. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm just gonna keep this timer going just for good measure, just to remind myself the word order. You think I'd have it memorized by now? I probably do.
Part of being able to have different things that you can do in the runs and stuff to learn.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Now that I've totally botched the run, I get to do some more interesting parts instead later. So I'll do Jars and Citadel. That one's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So I'll do that one instead of. Probably should have done that one instead of this one.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a close call. This one's a pretty long one.
Man, I'm trying to remember. Yeah. It's been so long since I've seen this one, there's so much about it that I don't remember. I know that the glowing arrows and everything were a band-aid for just making sure you could locate the buttons for changing the tides.
Yeah. Alright, I already got that one here. Let's see.
And that was inspired by the water dungeon from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, of course. Good old water temple. What's next? Oh, I guess, well, I already opened it. Let's go in.
You know, at this point, I think that the perception from a lot of people, because I see people comment on the game on NeoGaf from time to time, or in the threads where people made fun of Dan Shu for liking it.
Really?
Maybe it would be something where you could get enough support for awful games done quick.
Oh, I already got that one too. Okay. Yeah, original. I tried that. Kynan was so. Oh no, I haven't got that one yet. Kynan was totally on board. All right, hold on. I'm gonna have to unlock this level. The below. Well, damn it. All right, screw this. I'm just gonna open up a completed file and run through it.
Oh man. I'm really glad we put in that screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those things where you have to have something that lets you know your full progress, but it's not always a guarantee that you're going to get everything that the game needs in.
There's my 17 lives. I better skip some stuff here. There we go. Alright. Well, now that we've clearly established ourselves as Mario 64 fanboys, we all know where this one came from. Princess's Slide.
Indeed.
And it has a skip, just like in Mario 64.
Yep.
We'll get there.
Oh, memories. I wish Jules would jump in on the stream.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ping him.
Yeah, I want him to see the windmill skip. Oops. And this camera angle coming down the slide is the same as the end of the princess's slide. It's great. I love it.
Yep.
Alright. Skip that one too. Alright. I think this is my favorite trick that I can claim to have discovered. Although I'm sure if Jules were here, he would probably tell me this was intended. I have a hunch that it was. Get out of here.
Alright, let's see.
Who cares about going in the windmill? I'm just gonna ride the windmill blade straight to the top.
Yep.
Get up there. Yeah, that one was great. That turned a 5-minute heart into a 1-minute heart.
Yep. And that is totally intended.
Aha! It had to be, because the way the windmill blades had to be spinning in that direction, and that little platform there for hopping on it had to be, you know, right there.
Yeah.
It seemed too good to be true. Well, I'm glad we finally found it. It took a long time. That secret loop for 10 years.
I don't remember who.
Boy, we're skipping all the loading times. It's great. I really like this one. There we go. Yeah, glad I found that. Oops, there we go. Glad I found the setup for just jumping straight off the edge.
Yep. Jules said he's not going to be able to make it.
That's okay. That's okay. Ugh. I've never been able to get on that platform. It saves a whole cycle.
Oh, yeah.
These things are pretty cruel casually, I have to say.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. Like, there's not enough anticipation to let you know what's going to happen. You just kind of have to react.
Oh, that's right. I need to skip here. There we go. Take the long way.
I mean, the funny thing is like, there's a lot of depth perception issues just in terms of, you know, this type of game. But there is something about, like, whenever you do have the feel for it, it's so satisfying to be able to just make precision jumps and everything.
Oh, yeah.
All of the mechanics.
I mean, it's second nature to me at this point.
Like, I don't think that we would have been able to make a game like this in this day and age. I mean, I guess right now with difficult games kind of making a resurgence, it's possible, but like to have a major publisher put out something that takes kind of or requires so much of players for some tasks, it's just not as common.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very difficult game.
But the funny thing is like, it's all a product of the time, because, you know, things have changed now that everyone can comment on everything at all times, and that there's forums where everyone gets onto and communicates with each other, and that they can help guide each other's views and all that. But the problem is what it does is that it almost makes it so that there's less options for game developers to do things that are risky, because someone has already achieved an optimal way of accomplishing certain things, or creates a standard for what everyone now thinks, oh, this game has to function this way because this other game did.
Market research.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the age of market research.
user research, like, it is common. Like, people will put things through that, but even it'll influence the decisions that people make on a game at times.
Yeah.
Because just it becomes like a common mentality that you don't do these things. You can't do this.
That's dangerous, guy. Just say never. That's the thing. It's rage. Well, I'm glad you made a difficult game. That's what I can say. Oh, we lost the stream again. Should be back in a moment. Thanks, Comcast.
Oh, is that what I see with the reconnecting?
Yeah, thanks, Comcast. Dropping all my packets. Alright. I like this snowball's heart. This one's fun. Especially the big throw at the end.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like memories.
Oh, I missed. Jeez. Yeah, the throwing mechanics in this game are pretty interesting too. If you jump, oh my god!
Nice.
Oh, that was amazing. I don't think I've ever had that happen before. Oh my god. Yeah, these snowballs are a cruel mistress. My god. Yeah, one time, so I've never had that happen. But one thing I had happen before is when I was up here grabbing a snowball, about to throw it, some snowball came crashing down from the ceiling and just landed on that thing. Or like bounced. I'm sure that you had it programmed to not drop directly onto the keys, but it bounced off of some surface and just flew right into the key.
To be fair, I wouldn't make that assumption. It's possible that like that there were just some things that weren't taken into account, and it could occasionally end up falling directly on.
Yeah.
I know we try and avoid stuff like that when possible, but it's definitely not out of the question that there's a random chance that it could. Especially with something that tries to drive itself a little bit through, I guess where stream went down.
It goes down for just a couple seconds. I get a packet lost for a couple seconds at a time.
Yeah.
Alright. The best level.
So the spinning rings end on end was from Superman.
Okay.
And this was just one of those things where it was like, Thomas asked me, he was like, make a level that you can get through, but that's still gonna kill you. And
yeah.
I was pretty coordinated at the game, so this is also one of those things I made a buckyball and had to make the spin configuration on multiple axes, so that you could get through it in multiple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was intentional to allow you to kind of do awkward jumps to be able to get it early.
Uh-huh. The buckyball. Well, you should mention, I went to Rice. That's where the buckyball was made.
Yeah, I
You should
grew
call
up
it
in
that.
Houston.
Alright.
And then, like you had mentioned before, these jumps were intentional, where being able to reach certain locations and get up top and then jump into the middle again.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do them in different orders.
Oh yeah, and I will do the jars in just a minute.
Yeah.
That's a pretty great one. We're gonna go flying all over this level. Oh. These platforms are mean.
This was configurations that I put together to take advantage of how much air control you had to recover.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely mean.
Here we go.
And like you and I had mentioned before, if you're cautious here and you're taking your time, you're going to get hit. If you just go for it, you just kind of feel it, then
You're good.
Yep.
But I'm so glad that that skip exists, because those horizontal rings are a real pain, especially the ones that are sort of rocking, and you have to jump through them to get to the pole to climb up. Man, that one is quite a monster. So I'm glad I could skip that part.
Yep. Oh. Been lapsing on comments. Let's see what people are talking about. Alright. Let's see. So, what are the biggest differences in being a game dev from Vexx's time to now, and where do you see things going from now? That's a much more longer-winded question. I think everyone's philosophies from these days have changed significantly and kind of evolved over the time. Some people being a little more risky, some people being more risk-averse. I don't know, there's so much competition in so many different spaces that I personally feel you need to be a definitive game. You need to take on a subject matter that you do, and the closer you can get to being iconic in that space, the better chance you have. And so you've got to define yourself somewhere. This game was too close to Mario 64 for its own good. It didn't really... it didn't stand on its own merits because it made those choices. It made the choices. Like, we made a lot of choices because we loved Mario 64 and we wanted to make a game that was kind of like it. Even though we did a lot of things that are different. That's awesome. Yeah, and totally intentional. But...
And this is the only time in a 100% run when I would warp to the hub, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it would have been better for us to have created our own rules and not followed some of the pre-existing formats so closely. Let's see. But in terms of how games are different now, it's like everyone's connected. And so, you know, I don't know, it's like, you don't have...
Oh, so much for that. That's okay. I'll do the last one here, and then I'll just go to Yabu.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought on that.
Boy, it's going to be a world record. Yeah. To take out the loading times.
Oh, I forgot that this made it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. Should we have a category that just excludes loading times? I don't know. It just like a new game plus.
I mean,
it'd be interesting. You just drop 15 minutes straight off the run where nothing's really happening.
Yeah.
And you lose the requirement that you don't have a memory card. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
Alright. On to the boss. This guy's hard. I died a lot on this boss when I was a kid.
So, I was kind of lucky at the start of this game. I got to do concept art on the game in addition to design. But Alex Omlansky and I worked on the concepts for Dark Yabu, and it was one of those concepts. His other form where he has the thorax and the spider leg.
Oh, the spider thing, man.
Body thing. That was something that I'd come up with, and then Alex did a pass of it that was so, like, it was, like, superior in every way. But yeah, this is a...
Do you know of a better way to fight these guys?
No, this is how it was
Okay.
intended. Sorry.
I don't mind. Lots of Hadoukens, the more Hadoukens the better, but, I don't know, I've wondered if there's, like, a pattern that involves some of that, in addition.
I mean, the thing is, it was meant, like, there will be times where it's better to slash than to just uppercut Hadouken, but their patterns were situated in such a way where it kind of, I don't want to say it forces you to, because you can do it other ways, but that's the most effective.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the quickest time I've ever had on killing Yabu is around the 630 range. But that's with some pretty god RNG on spider form.
And it's been so long, I feel like I'm given enough of the other people on the team credit where credit's due for all the stuff that people have done.
You are. There's... Here we go. It's just lucky that I happened to pick the right name off the credits to call first. That's pretty much all it is.
Well, I'm super excited that you've taken up the game, and it's cool. And it's again, it's nice to be able to look back on it and just basically have this nostalgia trip. And if you do end up getting it into any of the games done quick stuff, I can probably get more people involved.
You bet. We will try. We will try. Yeah, I definitely will. I'll probably take a little break from this for a while, but I definitely want to optimize the 100% route a little better. I know I can do a lot better than the 301 that I currently have. All right. I think I found the strategy for getting this guy quickly. You just have to be in his face.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll swipe. There we go. Yeah, the strategy of just running around the edge, which is sort of like the intuitive thing to do, is just...
It doesn't work. You have to be aggressive with him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. Come here.
Because ultimately, like, the way that he functions is you have to be in range for him to yeah.
Yeah, that's what I sort of came to realize eventually, is that he's not going to swipe unless I give him the opportunity. So
and to be
try
fair,
get
I mean, like, he's harder than he should be, and
you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not intuitive to do the kind of you can underneath him.
Don't fireball me. You're gonna fireball me. I mean, but there's a lot of bosses where you have to, like, the play pattern is not immediately obvious. You got to figure it out. I feel like it's that bad.
Yeah. And now we get to the oh, pretty close, I guess. The Kynan battle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing is that though, playing this boss casually it's really hard to pick up how he telegraphs his attacks. Like I'm extremely used to it at this point, but like I recently saw someone who was just trying to run this game for the first time, like take a shot at Yabu, and man, it was like trying to describe how to see his attacks coming is harder than I thought it would be.
So there's, I guess part of that story is, some of the guys working on the game, myself included, who was tuning a lot of the boss encounters and the stuff to go with mechanics, we were too good at the game. And I think that is one of the big differences between what happens in games nowadays. We were making the game so that it was still fun and interesting and challenging for us, having been involved in playing it for the past, for the 3 years of development.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things where it's kind of a lesson learned. Typically, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't build a game that requires you to have that much competence and experience with it at that level, because again, nobody's as familiar with a game as the developers, and so if the developers are challenging themselves when they're making things, then sometimes it just turns out to be too difficult, all in all. And so that's kind of a maturity of a designer, of just making sure that you're building something to be satisfying, not necessarily trying to just constantly kill you.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's satisfying to, have figured it out.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't count on, every player being as, willing to tolerate dying so many times,
Yeah. So,
Alright, there we go.
All in all, the philosophy was that generally... Oh, this is the Terminator 2 scene.
Oh, yeah.
When he puts his thumb up.
Yeah, the Terminator reference.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
I'm glad that's... again, this is all the stuff that you wouldn't do in a new game. Like, I guess you could. At the time, I think, because I was obsessed with Conker's Bad Fur Day, but it came out when we were well into dev of this, and so I was always captivated with the references they had and the humor they had, and, Chris Seaver's voices and all that stuff, and it was like, that was amazing for the time, and we barely were able to just put in things for us, just for personal enjoyment. It wasn't really planned in the game or anything like that, but it was always fun to try and sneak things in here and there.
Yeah.
But much like I was saying earlier, it's like, with Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and stuff like that, making games that are satisfying for the developers and that have that challenge are a lot more common now. And it's really cool that there's a place for that, because it's like, that is one of the things that video games can offer that no other medium can, and it's like a sense of developing a skill and learning something and learning the systems and mechanics that drive things. And once you get really good at those, the rhythm that you feel and the achievement that you feel in games is completely different than you get in any other experience. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I felt like we did get for ourselves in this. And maybe it was one of those things where it didn't reach a wide enough audience for polish reasons or whatnot. But it is still a game that I'm proud we made, and that we were able to get. That we were able to make something that has some elements of nuance to the way it plays and the tasks that we put up, where you can get better at the game, and it is possible to speedrun and get better times and find new, unique ways of getting through things, because the mechanics layer so much, and that there's, it's like, it would have been easy to kind of dial this back and make it kind of lowest common denominator, but we wanted to use everything in as many ways as we possibly could.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a hard game for it.
Well, no, I'm certainly not complaining. So you may be wondering what I'm doing. I got myself down to 1 life, and I'm gonna get myself down to 1 health also. Actually, I'll do it over here.
Is this the 0 lives thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wonky. Let's get me down to 1 health, 1 life. And then I'm going, so I was inspired to think about this by wrong warping in OOT. The idea is that I want to create 2 game states at once, so I'm going to collect a heart, And wait, where's the heart? Oh, I didn't. Oh, I didn't shoot the eyes. I'm an idiot. Oh boy, I am trolling myself so hard tonight.
It's all good.
Let's try that again. Let's try that one more time.
It's actually fun to see epic fails every now and then.
Oh, just face planted into the ground. That's about how I feel. Oh man.
Let's see. You know, it's funny, because I did this before I worked for Nintendo, and Nintendo internally, they don't really, this is getting to the flipping thing that doesn't come naturally to a lot of players. Is that, oh wait, sorry, yeah, I was misinterpreting that comment, because out of context now. Double jumps. Like, we intentionally did not do double jump in this game, because it's not, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's an unintuitive mechanic that people just do when they don't have mechanical depth. And so we left, and again, I'm not saying that for all games, like there's plenty of games that have double jumps that are badass, but we intentionally shied away from that because pressing jump while you're in midair and just jumping off of nothing didn't feel as nuanced to us as doing things like the ground pound and the flip kick. And that's, I mean, like you're using the triple jump, which is like, again, an unintended mechanic, but you can see how much that completely changes the game. And it's like, if you're building a game where you're constantly relying on people doing double jumps, like full-on jumps linked into jumps, it always seems like you're not using the core package. It's almost like a band-aid. But the flip thing, I think you were talking about the Dark Diablo encounter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, that was totally unintuitive. We knew it even when we were making it, where it was just like, okay, this is like, this is gonna eliminate 99% of the people that play this encounter.
Okay, did it right this time. So we are going to die and collect a heart at the same time.
Boom.
Boom, and here we are back in the Nexus area with 0 lives.
Sweet.
So we can do some interesting things, but most notably, I haven't found any like serious game-breaking things as a result of this, but when you go into some levels, the camera goes a little nuts.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so I can't see my health bar or the life meter or how many hearts I have or anything like that, but I can still play, and I've never tried collecting a life here and seeing what happens. So I know there's an extra life over here. Is it on this one or is it the next one? Jeez, alright. So I don't know what happens now, but it is the case that in some, like if I have 0 lives and I walk into like another loading zone or another room, yeah. I'll just game over.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just game over immediately.
It'll detect that you have nothing, but it's still interesting that you're able to do this.
Also, I can't pause.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that are driven by the global game manager.
Yeah.
That like make assumptions about you having lives.
Yeah. Well, here and now I have 1 life. Hey, I'm back to normal. Huh.
Yeah, so it's right when you transition through the threshold of the portal that it loads the other. Yeah. That it knows that you're part of that, and then. Yeah.
All right. Well, in remembrance of the run that died. And pour 1 out. Game over.
Cool. Let's see. I guess in the bottom of Dragon Reach kill zone there's a signpost. In the kill zone there's a signpost. Yeah, because we ripped the worlds out from each other, there were areas that were part of Dragon Reach and Dagger Crag that no longer existed, and you know, it's just kind of sloppy building. We didn't go back and find everything and fully clean things up when we eliminated all of the other geo that used to be there. Let's see. Never happened.
Yeah, that facepalm there, that never happened.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that I couldn't finish a run for you. I would have liked to. I had a real shot to get a good time there, but yeah, I can't thank you enough for coming in and joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, and I think it was. I mean, it's again really cool that you're doing this, and you know, it was funny for a long time. We tried to keep up with the fact that there were communities of players that still played Vexx and enjoyed it, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
You know, it's like working on a game for so long and dedicating so much time. It's so often that it just falls to the wayside and nobody remembers it, nobody cares, and so I appreciate that, you know, you've given this game attention and love, and you've played it enough to figure out all these little things that, you know, some intentional, some not. It's just cool to see. So much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you. And by the way, if you or Jules or anyone else remembers something I've missed, or that we have all missed, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I was trying to get Howard and Michael involved in this because I mean, there's so much stuff. There's so many, like, little hidden things that only the people that worked on the particular levels and stuff would remember.
Yeah.
And, like, there's shit hidden in textures, there's stuff hidden in animations, there's little nooks and crannies in the level that have some type of personal meaning to people that, you know, you don't know. And there's all these little stories from development that I know I've missed and all that stuff, but yeah, hopefully we'll...
Yeah, I mean, they can all, anybody, any of them, I would love to talk to them at any time they're interested. It'll be a blast.
Coolio?
Alright, Kynan.
Alright.
I think it's time to shut it down, so thanks again, and we'll stay in touch. Looking forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again. Have
Alright,
a good
man.
night.
You too. You have a good night. Bye-bye.
Later.
Whew. Alright. Well, rip the run, but thanks for watching. I'll post a clean version of this. I have it all recorded locally. I remember the stream was really choppy. But I'll get a version up on YouTube that's clean, so we can all enjoy this later with my fail run.
What's the run?
Thanks, Carol. I managed to soft lock the game in the one place in the run where I can soft lock the game. And I did. Yeah. Yeah. I was a world record pace. Yeah. That's okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's spiking out though.
I know. I'll have a clean version locally.
The guy seems pretty chill.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
So what's working on that?